The first time my 2-year-old daughter Priya spoke in a language I didn't recognize, I thought she was just babbling. It was during dinner on a warm evening in August, when she suddenly stopped eating and began speaking rapidly in what sounded like a complex melodic language with rolling consonants and musical vowel sounds. Not the typical toddler gibberish that all children produce. This was structured, purposeful, as if she were having an actual conversation with someone invisible to the rest of us. "Priya, sweetheart, what are you saying?" I asked gently. She looked at me with confusion, as if surprised that I couldn't understand her. "Amma," she said, using a word she had never heard in our house. "Main gar jana chati hun." My husband David and I exchanged bewildered glances. We were both born and raised in suburban Chicago. Neither of us spoke any languages other than English. Priya had never been exposed to foreign languages through television, daycare, or social interactions. Yet she was speaking what sounded distinctly like Hindi, or another South Asian language with the fluency of someone who had been speaking it her entire life. "Priya, where did you learn those words?" Shanti taught me, she replied in perfect English, as if switching languages was the most natural thing in the world. "Who is Shanti?" "My other mama, from when I was big. My other mama, from when I was big. My name is Jennifer, and this is the story of how my daughter Priya revealed memories of living as Shanti Devi, a woman in 1940s India, memories accompanied by fluent knowledge of Hindi, detailed understanding of Indian customs, and such precise geographical and cultural information that it led us on a journey across the world to discover that Shanti Devi had indeed existed, had lived exactly as Priya described, and had left behind a family who had never stopped missing her. The language incidents continued with increasing frequency over the following weeks. Priya would spontaneously break into Hindi during everyday activities, while playing with her dolls. "Ye meri beti hai, main iske saath khelti hu." While eating, "Ye khana bahut swadisht hai, mujhe aur chahiye." While looking out the window, "Barish aa rahi hai, main bahar nahi ja sakti." I began recording these episodes on my phone, desperate to understand what she was saying and where this knowledge was coming from. The pronunciation was flawless. The grammar appeared sophisticated. The vocabulary seemed extensive. This wasn't a 2-year-old mimicking sounds she had heard somewhere. This was fluent, native level, communication in a language she had no possible exposure to. "David, we need to find someone who speaks Hindi," I told my husband after a particularly long episode where Priya had spent 20 minutes having what appeared to be a detailed conversation with an invisible companion. "Why? What good will that do?" "Because I need to know what she's saying. And more importantly, I need to know how she learned to say it." Through our local university, we found Dr. Rajesh Sharma, a linguistics professor who specialized in Hindi and related South Asian languages. When I called him and explained the situation, he was initially skeptical. "Mrs. Peterson, children can't simply acquire complex languages without exposure. What you're describing is linguistically impossible." "Dr. Sharma, I have recordings. Would you be willing to listen to them?" "Certainly, but I suspect you'll find that your daughter is producing what linguists call proto-language, sounds that mimic real language patterns without actual meaning." I sent him several audio recordings of Priya's Hindi episodes. His response, when it came 2 days later, changed everything. "Mrs. Peterson, I need to meet your daughter immediately." "Why? What did you hear in the recordings?" "Your daughter is speaking fluent Hindi with a specific regional dialect. The grammar is perfect, the vocabulary is extensive, and the accent is characteristic of the Delhi-Agra region of northern India." "But that's impossible." "I agree, which is why I need to hear her speak in person." Dr. Sharma visited our home the following weekend. Priya was initially shy around the stranger, but when he began speaking to her in Hindi, her response was immediate and animated. What followed was a 30-minute conversation entirely in Hindi between a linguistics professor and my 2-year-old daughter. तुम्हारा नाम क्या है? He asked. What is your name? मेरा नाम शंति है, she replied without hesitation. My name is Shanti. तुम कहाँ से हो? Where are you from? मैं मथुरा से हूँ. मेरे पति का नाम केदार है और मेरे 2 बेटे हैं. I am from Mathura. My husband's name is Kedar, and I have 2 sons. Dr. Sharma's eyes widened. तुम्हारी उम्र कितनी है? How old are you? मैं 26 साल की हूँ, लेकिन अब मैं छोटी हूँ. I am 26 years old, but now I am small. तुम्हें क्या याद है अपने घर के बारे में? What do you remember about your home? हमारा घर यमुना नदी के पास है. हमारा आंगन बहुत बड़ा है और वहाँ आम का पेड़ है. मैं वहाँ बैठकर कपड़े सिलती थी. Our house is near the Yamuna river. Our courtyard is very big and there is a mango tree there. I used to sit there and sew clothes. The conversation continued with Priya providing detailed descriptions of her life as Shanti. She described the layout of her house, the names of her family members, her daily routines, and the customs of her community, all in perfect, regionally specific Hindi. After Priya went to play in another room, Dr. Sharma turned to us with an expression of complete bewilderment. I have been studying linguistics for 30 years, he said. What I just witnessed is scientifically impossible. What exactly did she tell you? Your daughter claims to be a woman named Shanti from Mathura, a city in Uttar Pradesh. She described her life in extraordinary detail. Her husband Kedar, her 2 sons, her house near the Yamuna River, her work as a seamstress. Could she have learned this information somewhere? The linguistic complexity alone rules that out. She's using verb conjugations and grammatical structures that take years to master. And the cultural details she's providing, the names, the geography, the social customs, are all accurate for 1940s northern India. So what do you think is happening? I think your daughter has somehow acquired the memories and language skills of an Indian woman named Shanti. Whether through reincarnation or some other mechanism, I can't say. But the linguistic evidence is undeniable. Over the following months, Priya's Hindi-speaking episodes became more frequent and more detailed. She would describe her daily life as Shanti, with the specificity of someone recounting recent experiences. मैं सुबह जल्दी उठती थी और पहले गंगा आरती करती थी, she would say. I used to wake up early in the morning and first perform गंगा आरती. फिर मैं खाना बनाती थी, रोटी, दाल, सब्जी. मेरे बेटे रावी और मोहन को खिला देती थी. Then I would cook food, bread, lentils, vegetables. I would feed my sons, Ravi and Mohan. दोपहर में मैं कपड़े सिलती थी. लोगों के लिए सुंदर लहंगा और साड़ी बनाती थी. In the afternoon, I would sew clothes. I made beautiful lehengas and saris for people. शाम को मैं केदार जी का इंतजार करती थी. वो बाजार से वापस आते थे. In the evening, I would wait for Kedar ji. He would return from the market. The consistency was remarkable. Every time Priya spoke about Shanti's life, the details remained the same. The names, the relationships, the daily routines, the geographical references, a complete and coherent narrative that never varied. But the most compelling evidence came when Priya began providing specific information that could be verified. हमारा घर होली गेट के पास था, she told Dr. Sharma during one of his visits. Our house was near Holy Gate. Holy Gate is indeed a well-known landmark in Mathura. मेरे घर में कुआं था. वहां से हम पानी लेते थे. Our house had a well. We used to get water from there. मेरे पति की दुकान कृष्णा जन्मभूमि के पास थी. My husband's shop was near Krishna Janmabhoomi. Krishna Janmabhoomi is the famous temple complex in Mathura marking the birthplace of Lord Krishna. These were not generic references to Indian culture. These were specific, verifiable details about the geography and landmarks of Mathura. Dr. Sharma, I asked during one of our sessions, do you think Shanti was a real person? Based on the specificity of the information your daughter is providing, I believe it's very likely. The details about Mathura are too accurate to be coincidental. Is There any way to research this? Actually, yes. If Shanti lived in the 1940s, as your daughter claims, there might be records. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, property records. Would you help us look into this? I would be honored. To help. This could be one of the most documented cases of past life memories ever recorded. Dr. Sharma had contacts at universities in India who specialized in historical research. Through them, we began investigating records from Mathura, dating to the 1940s. What we found was extraordinary. In the marriage registry of Mathura district for 1935, we discovered an entry for the marriage of Shanti Devi, age 18, to Kedar Nath Chaubey, age 24. The record listed Shanti's father as Ram Prasad Devi and her address as Holy Gate area, Mathura. Exactly as Priya had described. Further research revealed birth records for two sons born to Shanti and Kedar, Ravi in 1936 and Mohan in 1938, again, matching Priya's accounts perfectly. But the most significant discovery came when we found Shanti's death certificate, dated October 15, 1942. Cause of death, complications from childbirth. Shanti Devi had died at age 26 while giving birth to her third child, the same age Priya had claimed to be when speaking as Shanti. She died in childbirth, I told David as we reviewed the documents Dr. Sharma had obtained. That's why she said she was 26. That's when her life as Shanti ended. But how could Priya possibly know these details? I don't know. But the evidence is overwhelming. Everything she's told us about Shanti's life matches the historical records. So what do we do now? I think we need to go to India. We need to see if any of Shanti's family is still alive. The idea of traveling to India with a 2-year-old to investigate her possible past life seemed surreal. But the evidence was too compelling to ignore. Dr. Sharma arranged for us to visit Mathura and connected us with local researchers who could help locate any surviving members of Shanti's family. The journey to India in March 2020 was Priya's first international travel. As our plane descended toward Delhi, she pressed her face against the window and began speaking rapidly in Hindi. "Main ghar wapas aa gayi hun," she said with obvious excitement. "I have come back home." "Are you happy to be in India?" I asked in English. "Han, बहुत खुश हूँ. मैं Shanti के घर जाना चाहती हूँ." "Yes, very happy. I want to go to Shanti's house." From Delhi, we traveled by car to Mathura, about 3 hours south. As we approached the city, Priya became increasingly animated. "Dekho, Krishna ji ka mandir." She pointed excitedly at the temple complexes that began appearing along the roadside. "Look, Krishna ji's temple. Main yahan aarti karti thi," she said as we passed one particular temple. "I used to perform aarti here." We had arranged to stay at a guest house near the old city center, close to where Shanti's house had been located according to the historical records. Our first stop was the Holy Gate area, where Shanti had allegedly lived. The moment we arrived, Priya's behavior changed dramatically. She began walking purposefully through the narrow lanes, as if following a familiar route. "Yahan mera ghar tha," she said, stopping in front of a small courtyard house with traditional architecture. "Here was my house." "Ya kwan tha?" She pointed to a now-covered well in the courtyard. There was the well. "Aur yahan aam ka ped tha?" And here was the mango tree. The space where she pointed indeed had the stump of what had once been a large tree. An elderly woman emerged from the house, curious about the foreign visitors. Dr. Sharma, who had accompanied us to India, explained our purpose in Hindi. The woman's eyes widened as she listened. "Shanti Devi?" she said. "Main use janti thi. Wo yahan rehti thi." I knew her. She used to live here. "You knew Shanti?" Dr. Sharma translated for us. "Haan, main Kamla hun. Main Shanti ki saheli thi." "Yes, I am Kamla. I was Shanti's friend." "Kamla, was now in her 80s, but she had clear memories of Shanti from their youth. Shanti बहुत अच्छी seamstress थी, Kamla said. वो beautiful कपड़े सिलती थी. Shanti was a very good seamstress. She sewed beautiful clothes. उसके 2 बेटे थे, Ravi और Mohan. She had 2 sons, Ravi and Mohan. वो डिलीवरी में मर गई थी. She died in childbirth. Every detail matching what Priya had told us. Are Ravi and Mohan still alive? Dr. Sharma asked. Ravi to मर गया है, Kamla said sadly. लेकिन मोहन अभी भी जिंदा है. वो दिल्ली में रहता है. Ravi has died, but Mohan is still alive. He lives in Delhi. Mohan Shanti's second son, now in his 80s, living in Delhi, potentially the only surviving person who had known Shanti personally. Through Kamla's connections, we were able to locate Mohan Chaubey in Delhi. When Dr. Sharma called him and explained our situation, his initial response was skeptical. बहुत से लोग आते हैं जो कहते हैं कि वो मेरी माँ का reincarnation है, he said. Many people come who claim to be my mother's reincarnation. लेकिन ये बच्ची अलग है, Dr. Sharma explained. वो fluent हिंदी बोलती है और बहुत specific details जानती है. But this child is different. She speaks fluent Hindi and knows very specific details. अच्छा, तो मैं मिलना चाहता हूँ. Okay, then I want to meet her. We arranged to meet Mohan at his home in Delhi the following day. The meeting between Priya and Mohan was one of the most emotionally powerful experiences of my life. When we arrived at his modest apartment, Mohan was waiting with several family members. The moment Priya saw him, her reaction was immediate and intense. Mohan Beta, she exclaimed, using the affectionate term a mother would use for her son. She ran to him and threw her arms around his legs. Mohan, a dignified man in his 80s, began crying immediately. Mummy, he whispered, क्या आप सच में वापस आ गई हैं? Have you really come back? Han beta, मैं वापस आ गई हूँ, Priya replied without hesitation. Yes, son, I have come back. For the next several hours, Priya and Mohan talked in Hindi about Shanti's life and family. She knew details about his childhood that only his mother could have known. तुम्हें याद है जब तुम बचपन में बुखार से बीमार थे? She asked. Do you remember when you were sick with fever as a child? Han mummy. Mohan nodded through his tears. Yes, mother. मैं तुम्हारे लिए रात भर जागती थी, तुम्हारे मथे पर पट्टी रखती थी. I used to stay awake all night for you. I would put a cloth on your forehead. और रवि भैया से कहती थी कि वो तुम्हें परेशान न करे. And I would tell brother Ravi not to bother you. Mohan confirmed every memory she shared. तुम्हें याद है तुम्हारा favorite खिलौना? She asked. Do you remember your favorite toy? Wooden horse, Mohan replied in English, then switched to Hindi. आपने मेरे birthday पर दिया था. You gave it to me on my birthday. Han beta, मैं यूज बाजार से खरीद कर लाई थी. Yes, son, I bought it from the market. The conversation continued with Priya providing memory after memory that only Shanti could have possessed. Details about family recipes, neighborhood gossip, childhood incidents, festival celebrations, a mother's lifetime of memories contained within my 2-year-old daughter. Mohan uncle, I said during a break in their conversation, do you believe Priya is your mother reincarnated? Madam, he replied in broken English, my mother died when I was 4 years old. I had very few memories of her. But this child, she knows things about my mother that even I had forgotten. How does that make you feel? Like my mother never really left me. Like she was always watching over me, waiting for the right time to come back and tell me she was okay. What do you want to do now? I want to take care of this child. She is my mother, but she is also your daughter. We are family. Now, we spent a week in Delhi with Mohan and his extended family. Priya was immediately accepted as Shanti returned, but also embraced as a new family member. She learned Hindi songs from Mohan's grandchildren, She participated in family prayers and rituals. She helped in the kitchen, showing an intuitive understanding of Indian cooking techniques that amazed the other women. "Yeh बच्ची जानती है कि दल कैसे बनाते हैं," Mohan's daughter-in-law observed. "This child knows how to make lentils." "और रोटी भी गोल कर सकती है," added another relative. "And she can also roll round bread." Skills that no 2-year-old American child should possess. But Priya demonstrated them naturally, as if drawing on muscle memory from another lifetime. The most touching moment came on our last day in India. Priya asked Mohan to take her to Shanti's grave. We traveled back to Mathura and visited the small cemetery where Shanti had been buried in 1942. The grave was simple, marked only with a small stone bearing her name and dates. Priya placed flowers on the grave and spoke quietly in Hindi. "मैं जानती हूं कि तुम बहुत परेशान हो गए थे जब मैं मर गई थी," she said. "I know you were very upset when I died. लेकिन मैं हमेशा तुम्हारे साथ थी. मैं तुम्हें देखती रहती थी. But I was always with you. I kept watching over you. अब मैं खुश हूं क्योंकि मैं तुमसे मिल पाई हूं. Now I am happy because I got to meet you." Mohan was sobbing openly. "Mummy, मैं आपको बहुत मिस करता था," he said. "Mother, I missed you so much." "मैं जानती हूं बेटा, लेकिन अब मैं हमेशा तुम्हारे दिल में रहूंगी." "I know, son, but now I will always remain in your heart." The flight back to Chicago was emotional for all of us. Priya seemed peaceful, but also somehow different. "Are you sad to leave India?" I asked as we flew over the Arabian Sea. "A little," she said in English. "But I'm happy too." "Why are you happy?" "Because Mohan uncle knows that his mummy loves him, and because Shanti got to say goodbye properly." "What about you? Are you still Shanti?" "I'm both. I'm Priya who lives with you and Daddy. But I'm also Shanti who loves Mohan uncle." "Is that confusing?" "No. Love isn't confusing. Love just grows bigger when you have more people to love." Over the following months, Priya's spontaneous Hindi speaking gradually decreased. By her 3rd birthday, she rarely spoke Hindi unless prompted, but she retained her understanding of the language and her connection to Indian culture. We maintained regular contact with Mohan and his family through video calls. Priya would always greet them in Hindi and ask about their health and happiness. "आप कैसे हैं, Mohan uncle?" "How are you, Uncle Mohan? खाना ठीक से खा रहे हैं ना? You're eating properly, right?" The concern and affection in her voice was unmistakably maternal, despite coming from a 3-year-old child. "She still talks to me like she's my mother," Mohan told us during one video call. "Even though she's so small, I can feel my mother's love coming through her." "How has this experience changed your life?" David asked. "It has given me peace that I never had before. For 78 years, I wondered if my mother suffered when she died, if she was angry about leaving us so young. And now? Now I know she wasn't angry. I know she was always watching over us. And I know that death is not the end of love." Dr. Sharma documented our entire journey and published his findings in the Journal of Consciousness Studies. The case of Priya Peterson, Linguistic Evidence for Past Life Memory, became one of the most cited papers in reincarnation research. What makes this case unique, Dr. Sharma explained in interviews, is the linguistic component. Priya didn't just claim to remember a past life. She demonstrated native-level fluency in a language she had never been exposed to. How do you explain that scientifically? Current neuroscience cannot explain how language skills could transfer from one brain to another, but the evidence is undeniable. This child acquired complex linguistic knowledge through some mechanism we don't yet understand. Do you believe in reincarnation now? I believe consciousness is more mysterious than we typically assume. Whether you call it reincarnation or something else, Priya clearly has access to Shanti's memories and skills. Today, Priya is 5 years old. She's fluently bilingual in English and Hindi, though she rarely speaks Hindi unless we're talking with Mohan's family or discussing her memories of being Shanti. She's developed a deep interest in Indian culture, music, and dance. She insists on celebrating both American and Indian festivals, and she has an unusual maturity when discussing topics of death, loss, and family separation. "Mama," she said to me recently while we were looking at photos from our India trip, "do you think Shanti was happy with the life she lived?" What do you think? I think she was happy because she loved her family so much, but I also think she was sad that she didn't get to see her children grow up. How does that make you feel? Grateful. Because Priya gets to grow up and see what Shanti missed. Do you think you'll always remember being Shanti? The memories are getting fuzzier, but the love isn't fuzzy. The love for Mohan uncle and the I love from Mohan uncle stays strong. What do you want to do with that love? Keep it safe. And maybe when I'm grown up, I'll go back to India and take care of Mohan uncle when he's very old. Like a daughter taking care of her father? Like a mother taking care of her son. Because even though I'm Priya now, part of me will always be Mohan uncle's mummy. Last month, we received news that Mohan had been hospitalized with pneumonia. Despite his advanced age and the seriousness of his condition, Priya insisted that we call him every day. "Mohan uncle, aapko jaldi theek hona hai," she would tell him during our video calls. "Uncle Mohan, you have to get well quickly. मैं आपके लिए prayer कर रही हूँ," she would add. "I am praying for you." When Mohan recovered and was released from the hospital, his first call was to us. "I know it was Priya's prayers that saved me," he said. "Just like her mother's love saved me throughout my life." How so? Every time I was sad or scared or lonely, I would think about my mother and feel better. Now, when I think about Priya, I feel that same comfort. What do you think will happen when you die? I think I will see my mother again, and maybe she will choose to be born again into another family that needs her love. And Priya? Priya will always be my mother and my family. Distance and death cannot change that. Tonight, Priya sleeps peacefully in her bed, no longer speaking spontaneously in Hindi, no longer carrying the full weight of Shanti's memories, but still connected to a family on the other side of the world by bonds that transcend nationality, race, and the impossible barriers between life and death. Sometimes I think about how different our lives would be if Priya had never started speaking Hindi, if we had dismissed her words as meaningless babble, if we had never investigated her claims about being Shanti. We would never have discovered that our daughter carried within her the memories of an Indian woman who died 8 decades ago. We would never have traveled to India and met Mohan. We would never have experienced the profound joy of reuniting a mother and son across the ultimate divide. And we would never have learned that love truly has no boundaries. So I ask you this. When a 2-year-old child speaks fluently in a language they've never been exposed to, when they claim to be someone who lived and died in another country, in another era, when they know intimate details about people and places they've never encountered, when their impossible memories lead to real families who have been waiting decades for news of their lost loved ones, do you dismiss it as coincidence or imagination? Or do you consider that maybe consciousness is not limited by individual brains, that language skills can somehow survive the death of the body, that love creates connections so strong they transcend culture, geography, and time itself? That some mothers find ways to come back and tell their children they were never really gone? I used to think language was just learned behavior. Now I know that some knowledge comes from places deeper than education. Some words carry the weight of lifetimes. Some voices speak for souls who refuse to be silenced by death. And sometimes, if we listen carefully, we can hear the echoes of love that spans continents and centuries. Priya spoke Hindi before she spoke complete sentences in English. But the first language she truly mastered was love. And love, it turns out, is universal. The rest is just translation. Some memories cross oceans. Some families span lifetimes. Some love refuses to be limited by the boundaries of individual existence. And sometimes, The most profound conversations happen between a mother and son who find each other again across the impossible divide between past and present. In any language, that's a miracle.